We're not going to let the fault of CBZ management be the reason that the families here, that the families at 1568 Nome Street get evicted. Like that happened at 1568 Nome, we're fighting against that today.
Hello there. Okay, so I want to go over this Colorado, Venezuela gangs taking over the complexes in Aurora, Colorado. Is it even true? I did a simple search. So I just did a search on Venezuela, Colorado apartment. You can do the same thing on Google. And this is what came up. And so I'm starting with the AP and I'm going to go from there. So here we are with the AP. I started reading this and then I decided, you know what? I'm just going to do this. So this is the way they put their headline. Police deny Venezuela gang has taken over rundown apartment complex in Denver suburb. Okay, and so this is a picture of Latin American migrants and their allies demonstrating on September 3rd, 2004, saying Venezuelans in Aurora, Colorado are being unfairly painted as criminals. Migrants are welcome here, racist and slumlords are not. So there's a very credible part of the story so far, in my opinion, that the slumlord, the people who own this apartment complex and others like it, are letting it get into a dilapidated state that really, like, there's reports of bed bugs and all kinds of gross stuff like water leaks, and that can create a lot of mold issues. That can create a lot of health issues for a lot of people. They're going through and they're saying the police in Denver suburb are basically saying this is not the thing. This is not actually being taken over by a Venezuelan gang. Like it's being reported by Trump or by Fox News or right-leaning publications. So remember that. And then, Trump saying that they're taking over the whole town, which is not true at all. The unsubstantiated allegations gained momentum following last month's dissemination of a video from a resident in the complex that showed armed men knocking on an apartment door, intensifying fears the Tren de Aragua gang was in control of the six building complex. But really, that's not true. So the officials indicate the buildings, along with two other apartment complexes, were run down because of neglect by the property manager of CBZ Management. So that's who owns this and is basically, I think they're the ones that are trying to spread this, like gangs are taking over, but they're really not. Now, there might be gang activity, and there might be a problem with some gangs. Like, there might be gang activity with some people in the apartment complex. I'm not saying that that's not happening, but what I'm saying is what's not happening, according to what I've read so far and what we're going to go through, they're not taking over. Like, there's reports that they're taking people's rents and, they're basically taking over the entire place. But that's not true. Just CBZ just isn't taking care of the property. Aurora Police Agent Matthew Longshore reiterated Thursday in an email to Associated Press that the agency has confirmed residents are not paying rent to gang members, but they found apartment managers are no longer sending representatives to the complex. And it's probably because they don't want to hear the tenants talk about the problems that they have and that the rundown state of the apartments. They don't want to shell out money for these apartment complexes, and they don't want to do the maintenance and the upkeep, which is, that's a big problem. That's, in my opinion, that's an actual bigger problem. The city of Aurora has taken legal action against Zev Baumgarten with CBZ for years of neglect properties and numerous code violations after another building he managed in Aurora was shut down as uninhabitable. Its residents were evicted in mid-August. Trials for Baumgarten that had been scheduled for August and September have been delayed for at least 6 months. The Colorado Sun. Is racism fueling claims about Venezuela gang takeover of apartment buildings in Aurora? Anti-immigrant backlash is nothing new, says sociology and criminology experts who point to attacks against Irish, Italian, and Polish immigrants about 100 years ago. The profanity-filled text message called them animals and warned them to be ready for militia gearing up to fight because everyone who hates illegals knows where you live. And this is rhetoric that is stemmed from Donald Trump, that he constantly vilifies migrants of any kind from South America. And he makes them all sound like they are the worst people on the planet, and that's not actually true. Could there be some, people doing bad things in those communities, migrants coming over? Yes, but there could be, the same could be said about migrants maybe coming from Canada or from England or from other majority white English-speaking countries. Jefferson, a Venezuelan who came to Colorado in December, has been selling empanadas, arepas, and Gatorade to people living in his apartment complex. As they finished their workday, he had included his phone number on a green poster board menu that hung in his apartment window. A photo of the men, including this phone number, ended up on X, where the author of the posting says Venezuelan gangs open restaurant. Just because someone's from Venezuela, they're not in a gang. Doesn't mean they're in a gang. Then came the text, I hope you know the Colorado veterans are building a militia with more firepower than you guys could ever imagine. That's disgusting. It wasn't the only vulgar anti-immigrant message that Gerson, wow, who doesn't want his full name used because he fears for his life, as I totally understand, has received in the past weeks as conservative local elected officials and media across the world have warned that Venezuelan gang has taken over 3 apartment complexes in Aurora. Unknown intruders hung signs in the hallways of one of the buildings calling it time to take a break, time to take back the city. A local gang graffitied the walls with their signs. Tenants say a vehicle drove by as its occupants held up guns and shouted F Venezuelans. And there are rumors for days that the Hells Angels were coming on their motorcycles to attack residents until the Hells Angels released a statement saying they were in fact not getting involved. That's smart, Hells Angels. Stay out of it. At this point, tenants interviewed by Colorado Sun say they are more scared of white supremacists. You know what I'm most scared of as a white woman in this country? White supremacists. Even though I'm white, they also hate women. So, yeah, they're the biggest threat in America. They're the biggest threat to democracy, the biggest threat to the way all of us live our lives, including people on the right. Just saying. And people with animosity towards immigrants than they ever were a Venezuelan gang. Racism. Gerson, 30, has stopped selling food from his apartment because of the threats. He's been assembling furniture to help earn the $1,200 in month rent for the apartment he shares with his uncle and 2 cousins. Gerson said he's been looking for more work, but potential employers have turned him away when they found out that he's Venezuelan. So I feel like this is the right trying to make America as unhospitable as humanly possible, right? So they're making up this big story. Like there might be a small kernel of truth to a Venezuelan gang, but they're blowing it up to make it bigger than it actually is. So it gets this massive influx of information or stories being written about it, but just to make sure. So it's making this regular immigrants who are here legally, not being able to find work because they're Venezuelan. He's not in a gang. He's just Venezuelan. So I really think that's a huge problem. He says, I don't even feel safe. Gerson said in Spanish, describing how a local Mexican gang came to his apartment this week, offering to sell him guns. And every day people are coming here to record with their phones like this is a zoo or something. You feel like you're exposed. The mass deportations that Trump wants to do, they're going to dragnet a bunch of people that just happen to look Hispanic. They may not even be Hispanic. They may be American citizens. They may have been born here. They may have been naturalized. They may be here legally. They won't care. They're just going to dragnet all the brown people they see, and they're going to deport them. That doesn't sound good. Like, that will collapse. I cannot stress this enough. That will collapse the United States of America. It'll collapse agriculture. It'll collapse construction. It'll collapse almost every sector of our country if we get rid of all the illegal or legal immigrants. We need them. We need them. So, the police chief says there's no evidence that the Venezuelan gang took over apartment complex. This is from September 6th, so a couple days ago. The video gang members in Aurora, Colorado apartment building had right-wing media declaring the city's takeover by Venezuelan gangs. Police says it's I always want to say hyperbole. Ari Shapiro, host. National headlines have described an armed Venezuelan gang taking over an apartment building in Colorado. These stories stem from a cryptic video that circulated widely in the news and social media. Colorado Public Radio's Kylie Harris explains what happened. Kylie Harris byline. Last week, a video from the Denver suburb of Aurora was seemingly everywhere on social media and then started airing on TV stations. It showed men with guns in Aurora apartment complex, allegedly filmed by a scared resident. We haven't been able to independently confirm the source of the video, but when Donald Trump talked about it on Lex Fridman podcast, he said the facts are clear. Soundbite of the podcast, Lex Fried podcast, Donald Trump. You saw in Aurora, Colorado, a group of very tough young thugs from Venezuela taking over big areas, including buildings. They're taking over buildings. They have their big rifles. Harris, shortly after the video appeared, Colorado's Republican Party sent a fundraising letter claiming the state is under violent attack and Venezuelan gangs have taken over Aurora. But what's actually true is far from clear. It is true that at least 2 years, more than 40,000 Venezuelan immigrants have arrived in the Denver metro area, and it's true that many now live in Aurora. It's also true Aurora police have recently arrested 10 members of a Venezuelan gang called Tren de Aragua, but Aurora's interim police chief, Heather Morris, says there's no evidence of gangs take over apartment buildings in her city. Her department recorded this video after she talked to residents of the allegedly gang-run apartment buildings. Soundbite of archive recording. Heather Morris, I'm not saying that there's not gang members that don't live in this community. But what we're learning out there is that gang members have not taken over this complex, which has been the story. Not that there isn't any gang activity. I'm sure there is gang activity, but they're not organized in such a way that they're taking over entire complexes and taking their rents. Because that would require a large amount of organizing and a large amount of being able to intimidate a bunch of people. You would need more than just like 4 or 10 guys. Immigrant rights advocate Jennifer Piper with the American Friends Service Committee thinks the apartment owners are alleging a gang takeover to shirk their responsibilities. Other people have that thought process too, but I don't know how they would be able to shirk their responsibility. Jennifer Piper, all this stuff about Tren de Agua is a great distraction from the systematic problems that exist around housing in the city of Aurora. Now, let's go to this one. This is Snopes, right? Unpacking hysteria over Venezuelan gang members allegedly taking over Colorado apartments. So, rumors that members of gangs from Venezuela commanded control of an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado, generated headlines by conservative media outlets and social media commentary in late summer of 2024. The rumors began when, on August 28, 2024, a local TV broadcast reporter based in Denver, Colorado, posted a video to X, supposedly showing a group of men, 4 of whom appeared to be carrying firearms, entering an apartment in a nearby suburb, Aurora. The reporter's outlet Fox 31 KDVR, which is an affiliate of the Fox network, posted an article featuring the video, describing it as showing alleged gang violence at an apartment complex home to some migrants to Aurora. According to that article, the videos was taken by security camera owned by one of the complex's residents not long before the shootout broke out on the property. Within the next week, however, rumors about the video showed or what supposedly happened to the complex spread online. The New York Post, for instance, claimed a criminal gang from Venezuela called Tren de Agua had taken over the complex, for instance. In reality, it's unknown what the video actually shows or if it's related to gang activity. Yeah, we don't know if they're a gang. That's not been identified. We just know there's men that were brown with guns. That's it. We don't know if they're gang members, Post said. We are aware that the components of TDA are operating in Aurora. APD has been increasing collecting evidence showing the gang and connected to crimes in the area. However, as we have seen previously, and the DEA similarly stated, it would be improper at this time for the city and APD to make any conclusory statements about specific incidents or provide details about law enforcement strategy and operations. That statement by Aurora Police did not refer to rumors about the in-question apartment complex specifically. Though it was posted the same day as the video, it emphasized that the agency had previously established a joint task force in collaboration with other local, state, and federal partners to specifically address concerns about Venezuelan gang, TDA, and other criminal activity affecting migrant communities.
Okay, we're gonna get started. Thank you for coming. My name is Nate Casa. I'm an organizer with the East Colfax Community Collective.
Mi nombre es Mohamed. Yo voy a traducir para el señor Nate Casa, que está con la colectiva comunitaria de East Colfax. Gracias por venir.
We're here today to set the story straight.
Estamos aquí hoy para poner la cuenta bien, para ponerla correcto.
We need the truth to be spread further than the lies.
Necesitamos que se distribuye las verdades mucho más que las mentiras, que se va mucho más.
At this building, as we can see, our families, children, parents, mothers, and fathers.
Aquí en ese edificio, como podemos ver, hay familia, hay niños, hay madres, hay padres.
We're going to hear directly from people who live here, but I want to be very clear what led to the conditions that are in these buildings right now.
Vamos a escuchar directamente de los residentes de estos edificios, pero quiero estar bien claro sobre qué fue que nos trajo ese momento.
The result of the conditions of this building is the fault and the sole fault of CBZ Management.
Todo lo que pasó hoy, todo lo que vemos hoy es la culpa del CBZ Management.
And we're not going to let the fault of CBZ Management be the reason that the families here, that the families at 1568 Nome Street get evicted. Like that happened at 1568 Nome, we're fighting against that today.
Y no vamos a dejar que por la culpa de CBZ Management que se desalojen las familias de aquí y las familias de 1568 Nome Street.
So yeah, we'll let them have the last word. Those were the residents. And they're saying, no, no, no. The problem here is CBZ management. That is our problem. So I feel like this other story is to take away and distract from the actual problem here. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and subscribe and give me a thumbs up because that does help my channel. And thank you so much for watching.